What's up, guys? Welcome back to Titans Time. We hope everyone had a great Labor Day weekend. We were on a trip with our family, just got back today, traveling all day long. A lot of news for the Titans happened this weekend. We were needing some energy to get us through the day, so we had to stop by Lawrenceburg Nutrition. Tanner, tell them what we got.
Yeah, I had to stop by Lawrenceburg Nutrition. We were super tired, a lot of traveling and stuff. Tyler got one of the herbal teas. I got one of the meal replacement shakes, I think is what they're called. It's cake batter. It's pretty good. So shout out to them. The Titans. We knew that this weekend was going to be really eventful for them. Of course, them having to trim their roster to 53, and we knew that the whole shout out to Keith Bullock 53. We knew that the whole Clowney thing was going to finally come to an end soon. He was either going to announce that he wasn't going to play, which I kind of thought was going to happen. It didn't seem like to me that he wanted to actually get on a team this year, or maybe he was hiding something just with the way that he wasn't really, I guess, responding to anybody or anything.
Well, I think a lot of that may have had something to do with his agent. I mean, he fired his agent.
And then something happened.
And we kind of knew going into this past weekend, they said Clowney will be with the team.
Yeah, and of course we didn't know that on Friday when we were, or actually Thursday when we recorded our podcast. That's kind of when we had the mindset of, well, we were starting to question, does this guy even want to play or anything like that? Because we didn't know what was going on with him, and teams were like, we can't even get a hold of this guy.
Yeah.
And so finally, the switch happened with his agents, and something got done.
Yeah, the Titans got him signed, and Titans Twitter has went crazy.
It blew up, and we didn't have good service over the weekend, and we were just trying to find any spot, holding our phones up in the air to get service, just to keep refreshing Twitter and seeing what everybody was saying.
Keeping up with the news, making sure we got some stuff out, talking about how we're excited to have Clowney here in Nashville now. And, Clowney, know you'll probably never see this, but we look forward to having you on the team, elevating our D-line and just our defense and our team in general.
Yeah, like you said, like Clowney's going to see this. But
yeah, but hey, you never know. But, we're excited to see how he raises his team to the next level by how he impacts.
I like the tweet the Titans had, bringing in the closer.
I think they were talking about, I don't think they were talking about Clowney in that.
I know, with Amy Adams.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
You had to bring in the closer.
Had to bring in the closer. She got the deal done.
She did. So that's all that really matters right there.
But then, of course, today, maybe when this gets uploaded, it'll be yesterday, but the Titans first unofficial depth chart came out. And what kind of stands out to you on this time?
Well, one thing that stands out to me is they cut Cameron Batson.
Even though
today.
He's on the depth chart.
I don't think he's on here right now. We have this unofficial depth chart pulled up, and I do not see him.
He's on mine. Mine's from earlier today, though. So
wait, you're right. I do see him on here, but they did cut him.
Slacking.
I imagine that's so they can add Clowney.
Well, Clowney's already on this depth chart. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they're going to make another move in free agency. Of course, they've already made moves with Gostowski and Clowney. And Gostowski came out today and, said, don't worry about me. Don't worry about range. He didn't say that on Twitter or anything. He actually said it, I guess, at a press conference or something.
Well, and he also, in that press conference, he did not come out and just act like, oh, well, y'all are lucky to have me. He basically said that he wanted to prove that he deserved to be a Titan and everything. And I really like that about him because, he's been with the Patriots, been a great kicker for them and everything. So, he could very well have easily come in with that attitude, but he didn't. He's being very humble about it, and I'm ready to see how much him and Clowney elevate this team.
So obviously the big name that sticks out on this depth chart is Jadeveon Clowney, because you look down and see it, and you're like, on the Titans depth chart, Jadeveon Clowney? Like what? But we'll get to that in a minute and kind of talk about the impact that he's going to have on basically, that front seven that he's going to be a part of, because I think that they're going to be one of the best in football. But one thing that I was excited to see when the Titans started making their cuts is that I never saw anything about Chris Jackson, of course, being terminated, leaving the team, anything like that. I think that after this season, a lot of people are going to look back and be pleasantly surprised by the way that he is played on special teams. I really think that that's going to be something that's common among fans after this next season is over, because I think he's going to be a really big contributor on special teams. And in the event of, hopefully not, but in the event of any injuries, which is inevitable in any football season, like we always talk about, I hope that he can step in and play some important downs.
Well, not just injuries, but also with the pandemic going on and everything, the sickness. We're not going to say the name of it on here, but
let's not talk about that.
Everyone knows what we're talking about. But yeah, like you were talking about with our front seven and everything. I mean, just looking at this.
Well, starting front, you go through it real quick.
You have Jack Crawford, Daquan Jones, Jeffrey Simmons, Jadeveon Clowney. Then you have, for our linebackers, Rashawn Evans, Jayon Brown, Harold Landry. Not to mention, he's on the depth chart right now. It looks like he's a backup, but Vic Beasley.
Well, and of course, when you throw Jadeveon Clowney in, and you already have Harold Landry, who's a stud, when you have a backup that has led the league in sacks previously, and of course, he's had some drop off in production since then, and then sometimes he just doesn't show up. But you got to be excited about Vic Beasley if he can get things together before the season.
But just think about when we have teams in a third and long situation now.
Oh, it's
at all the people you can throw out there to be getting after the quarterback.
Well, and you think about
what do you do?
Now we have Clowney to add. Just think about when teams are trying to run the ball. Jeffrey Simmons, Daquan Jones, who I think are going to be two of the best run defenders definitely in the AFC South, but in the AFC coming up this next season. And then you add Jadeveon Clowney, who, honestly, to me, I know that he can be known for his, I guess, rushing the passer by a lot of people, but his run defense is just, it's crazy. I put out a tweet the other day, the Titans are getting better against the run and the pass by getting Jadeveon Clowney.
Well, just look at also the impact he's going to have in practice. Like, our offensive line gets to go against him now in practice. So imagine how much better it's going to make them, because you have a guy who can blow up the run lanes. He can get after the quarterback. So now that really helps them, and by having to go against
having a dynamic player that they have to
go against in practice every day. And Isaiah Wilson back on the reserve list.
Yeah.
For the second time.
I'm kind of having to eat my words a little bit about Isaiah Wilson going to be starting week 1. I don't think that's going to happen. But I'm still optimistic about him. And honestly, I'm optimistic about all the guys on this sheet right here. Now, it may be a little biased, but
I'll stick by what I said. I do think that he will end up
starting before the year's
over. But, obviously I didn't want something like this to happen where he gets put on the reserve list for the second time, but I just didn't think he would have earned the spot.
And whether or not that's sickness related, I don't know if we know yet.
Well, for him to be put on that list, that means that he has either tested positive or has
had symptoms.
Well, been around someone that has symptoms.
Going back to Clowney, the biggest thing that sticks out to me is, yes, you might not always, as you saw with last year, you might not always see major production from Clowney reflected through the stats, but what you are going to see is that everyone else on this defense is going to benefit, because Clowney, anytime he's on the field, he has to be accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime he has to be accounted for, either through a double team or through some sort of offensive scheme to keep him from disrupting the play, which then leads to other players being able to disrupt the play. So it's really dealing with a two-headed monster, because you either deal with Clowney or you deal with whoever he's freeing up.
Well, another thing, going back to when I mentioned teams being in that third and long situation where it's going to be a pass down, you put Clowney out there, Vic Beasley out there, Harold Landry, Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, with all these guys out there, especially if you have like Clowney and Landry on one side or Clowney and Beasley on one side, who's the offensive line going to focus on? There's only 5 guys right there.
This is what I'm excited about, is when you have Vic Beasley at his full potential, and hopefully he can get there, but Vic Beasley at his full potential on one side, Harold Landry on the other side. And when Clowney lines up just behind, I think it was Mike Arundel that tweeted this out the other day. It was a video, and when Clowney lines up just behind the defensive lineman and rushes up the middle, it is really, really scary. I mean, that's what I'm most excited about.
We were excited about the depth that they added to the edge rush position
earlier in the offseason.
Right, earlier in the offseason. And
this
now
is
you
just
add...
this is just some sprinkles on top of my shake here.
There you go. So, looking at this depth chart, though, I want to get your opinion on this because I've been seeing where other people have kind of had some mixed feelings about this. Looks like Clowney's going to be wearing number 99.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know some people feel like it should be retired, but I say we're looking at a jersey right behind us that needs to be retired, and it's not.
Right, and
of course, I can't fault Will Compton for wearing it. I'm not saying that at all. It's available, and I'm a fan of Will Compton. He's wearing it. I like it. But if we're talking about jerseys that need to be retired for the Titans, you're looking at one right here. And
I believe number 90 is not retired, and I mean Javon Curse wore it.
Well, it's not retired, and that's
Daquan Jones.
Yeah, that's because Daquan Jones is.
So, I mean, before 99, you do have a couple jerseys before that deserve to be retired. So, but I was just going to get your opinion on that, looking at it right quick. But what about Adoree Jackson being the backup for kickoff?
So my thing about Adoree Jackson being the backup on kickoff return is, for one, I just really don't want him in there because he's probably going to be our best corner this year. And so something happens, he goes in on kickoff return and ends up getting hurt or something. That's a huge blow to the team, and I really don't want him to be in that situation where he could possibly get injured. And for two, I just really don't like him as a returner. I like Khalif Raymond a lot, and I hope he stays as the returner all season.
Well, the only reason they have him as the backup is if something were to happen to Khalif Raymond. And while I'm not a big fan of it either, because he's either our number 1 or number 2 corner, depending on how you want to look at it. You could switch him and Malcolm Butler out, but you put playmakers at those positions.
Yeah.
And he's a playmaker. If he gets the ball in his hands, he can make people miss and take it for a touchdown. So I understand why they have it there. I mean, they're doing what they feel is best. I'm like you, though.
Where's Darrington Evans at? This guy was a great returner in college.
Maybe.
Like a great returner in college.
I don't even know if they've been having him work out as like a returner.
Yeah, but he needs to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he was one of the leaders in the, I want to say NCAA, but it may be in his conference as far as returning goes. But his kick returning stats from college are incredible. And he can definitely make people miss. He's a playmaker.
Maybe one game he gets a chance to go out there and do it. There's been times where teams they've needed that big play, and they took someone who's not normally out there and threw him out there to return to see what they can do. So,
well, I mean, another thing to look at, Khalif Raymond, as we were talking about him with kick returns, he's listed as the wide receiver 4. We kind of expected him to be there. Do you see him potentially making a move above Adam Humphries at any time during the season?
Possibly later in the season. It depends on how healthy Humphries is able to stay.
I just know that everybody's big on Khalif Raymond right now, myself included. We are paying Adam Humphries a lot of money, though.
Well,
but it doesn't matter about the money. I mean, you go with the guy that is playing the best.
Well, and that's what it's going to come down to. Right now, they'll probably throw Humphries out there, or at least that's what it looks like, as their wide receiver 3. Their slot wide receiver, something like that. But I'm going to say it depends on how Humphries is playing throughout the season, but also how Raymond's playing. There's going to be times where he's out there. I mean, if he's making defenders look stupid and just leaving them in the dust, then there's always that chance he gets bumped up.
You think he's going to get a lot more touches than he did last season?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. The Titans utilized 4 wide receivers, more than you would think, actually. And I think that this wide receiver 3 spot right now is Adam Humphries to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And
he's just got to come out and really show something, or at least show that he's capable of playing what he's worth, what the Titans are paying him, if he wants to keep that spot.
I mean, really, if he can keep doing what we need him to do, and that's moving the chains on third down and stay healthy, then
then that's fine. Keep him there.
He's probably not going to lose that job.
Yeah.
But like I said, if Raymond's going out there and just going crazy and doing what he's been doing in training camp, then there is that chance he could move up to that wide receiver 3. And then, like you said, they utilize 4 wide receivers, so Humphries could still be out there. But Raymond may be, our 3rd guy.
On the 3 tight ends, Michael Pruitt is listed above Anthony Ferkser. And, of course, this is just the first Titans depth chart. It's unofficial, so there's going to be a lot of changes throughout the year. But are you taking a lot of stock in that? Or do you think that all 3 of those guys are going to get quite a bit of time? Really, we know Johnny Smith's going to get a lot of time, but between the bottom 2.
I think they'll both get a lot of time. I do see Ferkser ended up moving up
on that.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the number 2 tight end.
Okay.
That's just my thoughts there.
To me, everything else kind of, it looks, what we expected. Of course, other than Clowney signing over the weekend, I was starting to get not sure about it, and then I always had a thought in the back of my mind that it was going to happen, but I didn't want to get too excited before it actually did. And now seeing him on the depth chart, it's finally starting to feel real. And man, I feel a Super Bowl coming, and you can't convince me that it's not until I think even if the Titans get eliminated from the playoffs or don't make it, I still don't think that you're going to be able to convince me that they're not going to somehow win the Super Bowl.
Since we gave our defensive projections before, Clowney wasn't on the team at the time, what do you kind of expect from him this year?
You can't really put me on the spot like that because I don't know. I haven't really thought about it yet. For one, we haven't seen this guy even practice with the team yet, and we don't really know, exact. Obviously we've seen him throughout his career, but we don't know exactly when all, where all, and how all the team's going to utilize him. But there's really not that many sacks, I feel like, to go around because I've already.
Here's my thing. I'm
gonna put him at somewhere around 5 or 6 sacks and a very high number of tackles for loss. I think that you're gonna see a lot of his stuff on film of him drawing double teams and that potentially helping Harold Landry or Vic Beasley break free for more sacks.
All right, so we're in the same ballpark. I'm leaning more towards 4 sacks for him, maybe 5, but this opens things up for everyone else on that defensive line and all the other pass rushers.
Exactly.
That's where he's going to make his biggest impact because teams are going to have to focus on him. Yeah. If they don't focus on him, his numbers are going to go up more.
Exactly.
But like you said, more of his stuff is going to be on film. He is going to stop the run. He's going to help us out there. I think he's going to have several tackles for loss, like you said. He's going to elevate our defense. And, a lot of the team, or all the team, is excited to have him in there.
Yeah.
And
let's look into the future. We like to do that sometimes. Let's look a little too far into the future. And what are the odds right now? Obviously, things are going to change a lot, but what are the odds right now that you think that we're able to retain him going into the next season? I don't think it's good right now, honestly, but I still am excited to have him for this season because he's going to be such a huge help to the team. But I would love to see somehow us be able to secure him.
I hate to give this answer because it's kind of out, but
it's
50-50.
50-50?
It's going to be, because it's going to depend on...
You're such a bum, dude.
It's going to depend on what kind of year he has. If he has a great year, then J-Rob is going to want to bring him back.
Yeah, but if he has a great year, teams are going to be throwing all of their money at him.
But if he has a great year, the team goes and wins the Super Bowl. All right, he has a great year. The team wins the Super Bowl. He meshes very well with the team.
See, these are a lot of factors that are having to happen right now.
It is, but it's the same factor for a lot of guys in the league. It depends on their production, how they fit in with the team, if they're happy with their role. That's what it comes down to.
It really is too early to tell, but
But
I was just kind of looking for a prediction. I was just kind of looking for something.
I'm going to say that and this may age poorly, but I think he'll be a Titan for, including this year, the next 3 years.
Wow.
I'm gonna
go ahead and get your jersey then.
So I have been.
You're gonna end up with a Clowney jersey.
I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Really thinking about it.
Okay.
So
I still want to get a Johnny Smith jersey.
Go for it.
I think I'm going to end up with one sometime this season. I think I'm going to end up with a Johnny jersey. So, that's just kind of us. We're reacting to the depth chart. We've been gone over the holiday weekend. As you know, we've been talking about it. So we weren't able to put out any content, but a lot of things have happened. So we wanted to get something out. So we just kind of wanted to react to this and react to maybe some of the players that got cut. Of course, Cameron Batson. They cut Senior Reese Perry, and then now he's back and he's on the roster.
They cut some guys.
They cut Simeon.
Add him to the practice squad.
Yeah, of course, cut Simeon. Cut DeAndre Walker.
And he got picked up by Seattle.
Yeah, I was really upset to see him go because we haven't even got to see him play as a top.
Well, and we talked about when we done our predictions for all these guys. He was a guy that we thought was going to have a good year for him.
Yeah, and when we first started our podcast, we hadn't started on YouTube yet. When we first started our podcast, we gave some under the radar guys to look out for, and I remember he was one of yours. So it does kind of suck to see him go, but if he's the guy that had to go to make room for Clowney, then so be it. Sorry, DeAndre Walker, but you're not Jadeveon Clowney. And then, of course, cut Simeon. There's a guy out there I'd like to see them get. Of course, this has been making some rounds on Twitter, which is how it caught my attention. But to me, Josh Rosen is a really good idea. But the way it lays, I'm happy about the Titans roster right now. And, Clowney's something that we have been thinking about for a while because, obviously, the whole offseason, it's been something that people have been talking about. So, at this point, I've been putting him on all the Titans Madden rosters, so I'm almost kind of used to it. But it did take me a little while to adjust to it.
I'm ready for those rosters to be updated so we can have him on there.
We need to start getting some Madden on the YouTube channel. If you guys are interested in that, leave us a comment or something and let us know if we should do that or not, because I think I would enjoy it.
Oh, yeah, I would too.
Obviously, if you guys don't want to see it, then no point in it, really.
Yeah, just let us know down in the comments. And one more thing for you.
Okay.
Friend of the show, our sponsor, Jacob Patterson, he pointed out to us that Colin Cowherd does not have the Titans making the playoffs. What's your thoughts on that?
That's ridiculous.
And I believe I've seen someone else say this, but it kind of my thought process too. If any other team, like one of the top teams that people think of, added Clowney, he would be saying Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But the Titans do it, and again, all we get is hate.
And they already had a good roster that was capable of potentially going to the Super Bowl. Colin Cowherd, you saw what they did last season. Kind of like the Clowney situation, like he's going to watch this. But Colin Cowherd, you saw what they did last season, and they didn't have Clowney, one of the most probably game-breaking players in the NFL. He can be potentially at times. So I think that you're ridiculous, and you need to reevaluate the way that you think about the Titans, because they're coming this year and going to have a great season, potentially make it to the Super Bowl. That also might age poorly. And that's my message to you, Colin Cowherd.
And guys, if you haven't already, you need to make sure you're following us on Twitter at Titans_time and on Instagram, Titans Time Podcast, because here in the next month, we're going to be doing our first ever giveaway on our Twitter and our Instagram. We're not going to tell you what it is, but
we think they're pretty cool. I don't know, it may be a bust, but we think it's going to be pretty awesome.
Just make sure you're following us for a chance to win.
Following us when it comes out. Make sure that you do everything that it says. Get entered in the giveaway. We think it's pretty cool, and obviously it's free stuff, so who don't want free stuff?
Make sure you subscribe down below, turn on the post notifications, like the video, leave us some comments.
I don't know why I keep doing all this pointing. But also make sure that you check out our podcast, which is Titans Time, and find that if you're on Apple Podcast or any place that you can subscribe or leave a review. Make sure that you do that. Always stay updated with that, because the content on there is a little different than what's on here. We always have different, categories or different
We just cover all the content for the Titans.
Content. We always have different content on.
We either cover it on here or on the podcast.
So it's not like we're just uploading the same stuff all the time. Some of it's on there, some of it's on here. So make sure that you're updated with all of it. And also check out our website, titanstimepodcast.com, and our Facebook, which is new. Trying to get our likes up on there. That is Titans Time. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Titans Time, and as always, tighten up. What if I just spilled it?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to... I told you I was going to start it. You're getting
I thought you said I
was. No. We switched it up. What's up, guys? Welcome back to...
I wasn't how I wanted to be sitting.
Oh, my God.
Alright, we're good now.
What's wrong with saying green?
What's saying green? It's just like...
Tanner, tell them what we got.
Yeah, we just talk about it. Alright.